There is a darkness that walks beside you, not behind, not ahead. Beside you, it doesn't scream. It doesn't speak, it waits. You think you know yourself. You think your choices are yours. But what if the thoughts you resist, the emotions you bury, the fears you dismiss, what if those are the parts of you that are truly alive, pulling the strings from behind the curtain? Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And maybe that's what you've been doing, calling chaos coincidence, calling pain character, living a life half-lit because the other half is hidden, inconvenient, uncomfortable, or worse, unknown. But the shadow isn't your enemy. It's your reflection in a broken mirror, distorted by fear, twisted by memory, ignored by habit. It contains every part of you that you abandoned to become who you thought you had to be, the rage you weren't allowed to express, the sadness you had no room to feel, the dreams you dismissed because someone once said, "That's not realistic." So let me ask you again, are you living in your own shadow? Or are you finally ready to walk through it? Because no transformation happens in the light. It begins in the void, the chrysalis, the cave, where the ego dissolves and the real self emerges, raw and shaking, but real. And isn't that what you came here for? Not the mask, not the curated self you show the world on your best days, but the one who wakes you at 3 a.m., the one whose voice you silence with noise, screens, routine. You don't need motivation, you need revelation. And that doesn't come easy. It comes when you stop performing and start listening. Beneath the layers of your ambition, below your discipline, your habits, your carefully crafted identity, there is a scream, buried under years of should and must and be strong. That scream is your shadow. And until you face it, it owns you. See, Jung didn't just write about the psyche, he lived in it. He dove into visions that blurred the line between madness and myth. He confronted phantoms of the soul that most people ignore their entire lives. He understood, the only way out is through. And maybe you've spent your whole life running from your past, from your anger, from your loneliness. You've made yourself so busy you don't even remember what silence feels like. But your shadow waits in silence. It waits in every moment of stillness, in your hesitation, in your triggers, in your envy, your shame, your self-doubt. You've learned to dress those feelings up as logic. You call it being practical. You say, that's just how I am. But is it? Or is that how you became? After breaking into pieces over and over, until the shape you held was no longer yours, but survival's? Jung taught that integration, not suppression, is the path forward. You don't defeat the shadow, you embrace it, and by doing so, you reclaim your full power. Because what you disown controls you, what you fear limits you, what you refuse to acknowledge defines you. Look at the world, the aggression, the narcissism, the division. We're not a society that lacks information. We're a society that lacks reflection. We exalt personas, polished, perfected masks. We punish vulnerability. We bury the soul under productivity, under image, under success. But the soul is not fooled. You cannot brand your way into wholeness. You cannot hustle your way out of your humanity. Somewhere deep inside, you know this. You felt it, that hollowness after the win, that ache beneath the applause, that moment in the mirror where your eyes say what your lips refuse. I'm not okay. And that's where it begins. The journey back, not toward perfection, but toward presence, toward honesty, toward integration. It's not easy. It requires unlearning, discomfort, the kind of solitude that scrapes your insides clean. But it also offers something real, not happiness, not exactly, but depth, meaning, wholeness. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs integrated ones. People who've met their shadow and chosen to stay. People who can sit with pain without numbing it. Who can hold their rage without unleashing it. Who can feel without being controlled by the feeling. That's real power. Not dominance. Not control. But ownership. Of your story. Of your truth. Of every fractured, glorious, terrifying piece of yourself. So tell me again, are you living in your shadow? Or have you finally decided to bring it into the light? Because light doesn't destroy darkness, it reveals it, and once seen, it can no longer run your life from the shadows. The ancients spoke of the underworld. They called it Hades, Duat, Sheol, not a place of punishment, but of passage. It was the realm where souls met themselves. You too must go there, not when life ends, but while it still breathes in your chest. This descent is not a fall, it's a return. To the place you buried what you could not face. The child who learned to be quiet. The warrior who learned to smile while bleeding. The lover who turned cold to stay safe. They're all waiting. And what waits with them? Fire. Not the fire that burns, but the fire that refines. Shadow work is alchemy. Carl Jung knew this. He wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And now it's your turn to lean into the pain that is asking to become power. This is not about fixing yourself. It's about seeing yourself fully, because you were never broken, only fragmented. Your culture told you to amputate the parts that didn't fit the mold. Your family rewarded the traits that were safe. Your teachers gave gold stars for conformity, not complexity. So you learned to exile your edges, to clip your wings, to choose peace over presence. But that peace was a lie, and your shadow knows it. There is a war inside you, between who you are and who you pretend to be, between your longing and your loyalty, to the image, the expectations, the mask. But something has cracked. You feel it. The old strategies don't work. The smile is brittle. The grind is empty. The voice inside is louder now, and it's asking questions no affirmation can silence. So what now? You enter the cave, not with bravado, but with honesty, not to slay a dragon, but to see that the dragon is part of you. Its fire is yours. Its roar is your truth, unspoken. This is individuation, the path Jung mapped for those brave enough to leave the herd. Not a path toward isolation, but authenticity, becoming who you are, not who the world told you to be. You will lose things on this journey: false identities, shallow relationships, comfortable delusions. Let them burn, because on the other side is not a perfect self, but a real one. And that is freedom. The shadow is not evil. It is exiled potential. It holds your creativity, your sensuality, your wildness. It is the key to your vitality, but it demands reverence, not control, not judgment. To face it is to kneel before your own depth and whisper, "I see you." Not "I'll fix you," not "I'm ashamed of you," but "You are part of me, and I am whole." Think of Jung in his tower at Bollingen, building with stone, listening to dreams, not escaping life, but living deeply into it. He understood the unconscious is not the enemy. It is the source of myth, of symbol, of intuition. It is the place where soul speaks. And what does it say? It says, "Come home," not to comfort, but to coherence. You were never meant to live split, divided between what you show and what you hide. You were meant to live integrated, a soul on fire with its own truth. But that fire will scorch your facades. It will melt your personas, and it will leave you naked before yourself. Can you stand that? The mirror that doesn't flatter, the silence that doesn't soothe, the truth that doesn't negotiate, because that is what freedom costs. Your illusions. But what you gain is everything. You gain the ability to look yourself in the eye and not flinch, to speak without performing, to love without losing yourself, to walk into the world, not needing to conquer it, only to meet it as you are. The world is not starved for content. It is starved for realness, for people who've met their shadows and emerged luminous. Not perfect, but whole. And that is what you're becoming. Not because it's easy, but because you're done pretending. No more shrinking to fit rooms that can't hold you. No more silence when your soul is screaming. No more living in the ghost of who you could be. Your shadow is not your prison. It's your passage. Walk through it. The night will get darker before it gives you light. And there will be moments when you wish you hadn't looked. When the truth is too sharp. When the weight of your unspoken becomes unbearable. But this is the threshold. And thresholds were never meant to be comfortable. They were meant to test what you're willing to leave behind. There is a part of you still clinging to what's familiar, even if it hurts. Because it's known. Because it gave you something once: validation, approval, identity. But now it chains you. To let go is not to dishonor where you've been. It's to realize you no longer live there. The self you built to survive has done its job. Now it's time to thank it and walk away. This is where many turn back. Because the new self costs too much. Because freedom feels too much like falling. Because the old pain is at least predictable. But hear this: your shadow does not want to destroy you. It wants to be seen, and in seeing, transmuted, not into something pretty, but into something true. You will not emerge from this journey smiling for the crowd. You will emerge quiet, clear, unshakable, because the war inside will have become a dialogue. No more repression, no more explosions, just communion. Your inner child doesn't need to be shushed. They need to be held. Your inner critic doesn't need to be fought. They need to be understood. Even the rage you've swallowed, the grief you've silenced, the hunger you've numbed, all of it has a voice. All of it wants to belong. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That is what you're doing. Not chasing bliss, but embracing reality, not becoming perfect, but becoming whole. Wholeness is messy. It includes contradiction. It allows for ambiguity. It makes room for the full spectrum of you, a light and shadow, wisdom and wound. There is power in that kind of honesty, the kind that doesn't demand applause, the kind that doesn't perform healing, but lives it. Quietly, consistently, courageously. Think of those who have walked this path before you. Nietzsche, whose descent into madness held seeds of genius. Rilke, who wrote, "Perhaps everything terrible is in its deepest being something helpless that wants help from us." Even Edison, obsessed not with light but with possibility. Lincoln, who ruled through sorrow, not above it. They did not avoid the shadow. They danced with it. They listened. They let it reshape them. You must do the same, not because it's glamorous, but because it's necessary. To know yourself is not a luxury. It is a responsibility. You are not just flesh and name. You are myth. You are story. You are ancient instincts housed in modern skin. And unless you learn the language of your unconscious, it will continue to run your life from the shadows. That ache you feel when the room is quiet, that's the self calling. That whisper that says there's more, that's the voice beneath the noise. And the resistance you feel right now, that's the shadow testing your commitment. Will you keep scrolling, or will you listen? You cannot silence what you refuse to hear. You cannot heal what you won't name. And you cannot become what you truly are if you keep feeding the image of who you think you should be. Let it go. Let the masks fall. Let the ego bleed if it must. There is no resurrection without death, and your false self has expired. So grieve it. Rage if you need to. Then step forward, because once you've met the shadow, you don't just survive life, you embody it. You move with intention. You speak with gravity. You love without barter. You become. This world doesn't need more people who have figured it all out. It needs more people who have faced their own darkness and come back radiant. And that begins now. And as you take that next step, understand this truth: nothing about the process will cater to comfort. Growth doesn't happen in curated spaces or controlled environments. Growth ruptures. Growth shatters. Growth tears the veil between the life you pretend to live and the life you were born. The shadow you've been avoiding, the unconscious forces in you that you have refused to look at, are the very things holding you back from living the life you were meant to live. But the truth is, they will never go away, no matter how far you run. In fact, the more you avoid them, the stronger they become, lurking behind you, controlling you from the depths of your psyche. Carl Jung said that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The reality is that the journey toward self-awareness is not about seeking perfection, but about understanding your own imperfection. It's about confronting the fears, doubts, and insecurities that hide in the shadows, acknowledging them, and making them a part of who you are, not something to be ashamed of, but something to embrace. The moment you turn and face the shadow is the moment your life changes. It is in that very confrontation that your true power lies. You are not merely the light that you project to the world, you are also the darkness that you carry within. Both are necessary, both are a part of you, but it is in the darkness that transformation occurs. The chaos, the messiness, the discomfort, these are the soil in which your true self grows. When you accept the truth of your own shadow, when you allow yourself to feel the pain of past wounds and the fear of your own limitations, you free yourself from the chains that have bound you. And when you do this, the world changes. It may not happen in an instant, but the shift is profound. It is in the small moments, the moments of deep reflection, the quiet, tender conversations with yourself, that the foundation for a new way of living is built. In the process, your vision sharpens. You begin to see clearly the person you are, and the person you could become. No longer shackled by your own self-deception, you begin to see the beauty in the broken parts of yourself, the power in the things that once frightened you. You become whole. The shadow does not have to be feared, it can be your greatest teacher. It guides you, shapes you, and ultimately, frees you. But only if you are brave enough to face it. Only if you are willing to look deeply into the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding. Your path to personal transformation is not linear. It is a winding journey, filled with peaks and valleys, light and dark. But with each step, you are becoming the person you were always meant to be. You are shedding the old skin, the false identities, the illusions that have kept you trapped in cycles of fear and limitation. As you shed these old patterns, something incredible happens. You begin to step into your power. The world may not change immediately, but you will. You will become stronger, more grounded, and more aligned with your true self. The journey is hard, yes, but the rewards are unimaginable. The shadow may be uncomfortable, but it is your path to authenticity, to strength, to true freedom. The moment you stop running from it and embrace it, you stop being a prisoner of your past. And that is where your power truly lies.